What's up, y'all? Charlie here, and I want to take a second and tell you guys about campaign pilots. Let's say you ship something out with Bolt, Cursor, maybe it's on Vercel, whatever it is. It's deployed, it's out, you're getting some website traffic. All right, how do you get more people to your website, right? How does this, marketing and distribution is the hardest part, which leads into customer acquisition. So in comes campaign pilots. So let's say you've got Google Analytics, you've got Search Console, you've got Tag Manager, everything's wired up. Okay, now you're looking at the data on GA4. You go to acquisition, then you go to traffic acquisition, and you're looking at sessions. All right, cool. You're looking at the KPIs. Sessions, engagement rate, blah, blah, blah. It is so boring to talk about. Now, campaign pilots make sense of all of that data. So it connects to your GA4, connects to your Search Console, it connects to Google Ads, and it makes sense of the data for you. So rather than having to log into GA4 and Search Console or Google Ads, you log into campaign pilots, you connect the data sources, it takes less than 5 minutes, it's a couple clicks, and you simply ask it, what were my top 5 non-branded keywords? And then bam, you get a bunch of answers, and then you get next steps to get more customers to your app. That's what campaign pilots does. Another example. You've got Google Analytics. You have that connected in the app, Campaign Pilots. And then you can ask it, give me a summary of SEO in the past 30 days compared to the previous 30 days. And it will tell you the delta. It will tell you the pages, the highest performing pages, the lowest performing pages. And it basically gives you a roadmap for the subsequent 30 days to get more people, more users, more signups to your app. Head over to www.campaignpilots.ai. Try it for free. Thanks.
When an idea is planted in your head and you just cannot let it go, that it is foundational in the way that it's transforming the way that we approach work. In a very similar way to how the internet revolution happened in the late 90s and early 2000s, we're just scratching the surface today. We're gonna look back in 10 years and we're gonna be like, oh, that was cute. We are seeing a world where the machine handles the discovery process. Lead with your intent. What a unicorn hire means is someone who is a quick learner, who has an appetite for testing out new things, who leads with...
All right, everybody. Welcome back to the Builders Growth Lab podcast. This is episode 34. We have myself here, Mallory, the brand marketing clown, and then we've got Charlie, aka... I'll be nice today. The SEO. I couldn't even say it without laughing. I was going to say the SEO. Sorry.
Get the fuck out of here.
I know. I'm sorry. Every week we just, continue to bully each other more and more, but that's a good sign that we're bonding. This is a great experience, but
we are also Connor's not here.
Yes.
As far as we know, he's in Toronto. I mean, he's the gambling degenerate, so
Yeah. So we've got our digital full stack marketer out gambling or whatever, missing this podcast. How dare he?
Yeah.
How dare he?
But we're all going to meet in person. I've known, so we were talking about this offline. I have known Connor since early 21 when he was running ads for a big project that we were on. My company was doing the SEO, his was doing the paid ads. And since early 21, I remember him sending an email at like 11:30, and I didn't know what was more just crazy of him sending the email or me responding to it on like a Tuesday night or something. And then ever since then, we've just kept in touch. So all that to say, the three of us are going to be in Breck in 2 weeks?
Yeah, I mean, we're going to be recording an episode next week, and then over the weekend we're going to be in Colorado, and I think we're going to be filming recording some bonus episodes there of some sort. But I'm excited to meet you silly gooses in person and see what shenanigans we get up to. But I think we're all looking forward to it.
What are you going to bully us into doing?
I don't know. We'll see. I don't know. I feel like I can't tell you. Well, yes, these guys. So I've told them about my obsession of whiteboarding. So if you know me, Okay, you know I love whiteboarding, and I know that sounds so nerdy, but I like to tell people it's not just about like, oh, we're brainstorming a thing for work. That's the yes, like you could totally use a whiteboard for that, which I love to. But I also love to use whiteboarding to like I've had my friends come over and they're like, okay, they're going through a transitional period. So we're like, okay, what does Mallory's 3.0 era look like, right? Like, how does she want to feel? What is she doing, right? And it's just like it's supposed to be for fun. So this isn't like I was trying to tell the guys that like it's not just for like work stuff, but I also like to whiteboard personally, and I think they looked at me like I'm insane. So Charlie said he's bringing the whiteboard, and I have
Bringing the
no idea what
whiteboard.
we're gonna whiteboard yet, but we'll whiteboard something good, and maybe we could film it, record it, and share it on our
Yeah,
YouTube
let's do
channel
it.
for you guys, so you can be a part of the shenanigans. But I think we're all. I know I'm definitely looking forward to it, so it should
I'm
be
looking
fun.
forward to it. Breck is dope. There's great restaurants. We're there for Friday, Saturday for 2 nights. We initially had it for a little bit more, but calendars just didn't sync properly. So we're just going for a couple nights, and yeah, it'll be fun. I'll take y'all. So I'm picking y'all up from the airport. So
Yeah.
I'll take y'all through Denver. You've never been to Denver, have you?
I have. I have.
Oh,
I
you
have some
have.
friends there. I have a few
Oh,
times. Not many times, like maybe two times,
where
two, maybe three.
whereabouts do they live? Do you know?
I don't
Do
know.
you have
I
any?
don't I
Okay,
don't remember what part of
okay.
Denver.
Um,
I'm sorry.
yeah. So we'll buzz around maybe a little
Some
bit,
neighborhood.
and someplace. And
Someplace.
yeah, we'll buzz around Denver for a little bit and just head up to the mountains and yeah, we'll have fun. It's a cool spot. I love mountains.
Yeah.
The thin
Yeah.
air. You wanted to go hiking? I think you're out of your freaking mind.
What?
Hiking
No, you're
in
from Colorado. Okay, well, I got to do something active. Let me try.
yeah,
I'm like,
I want to go for a run. I want to be like that crazy person.
wait, so
Yes.
I'm crazy for wanting to do a hike, but you going on a run is not crazy? Because
I
that's
didn't say it wasn't
crazy.
crazy. I'm just saying like I just want
Yeah.
to go for a run. We go like like run down Main Street or something. Oh,
I'm
you know what
down.
they have in
I
Breck?
like to run.
My girlfriend and I did this last year. They have ghost tours in Breck.
Oh, I
Yeah,
would be totally down to do
that'd be
that.
fun. It was
I
at
would be
one point it
scared,
got kind of
but
creepy actually. I'm not gonna lie. We went under a staircase of like an event. It was kind of fucked actually.
well,
Now
no,
that I
because
think about it.
I believe in ghosts, so I
Really? Have you
know.
seen
Oh
it?
yeah,
Or like you've
have I?
had like some weird shit happen?
No, I haven't. I wish I had some good stories for the pod to tell about this. I have so many friends that have really crazy ghost stories, but I don't myself. I've stayed in one of the most haunted hotels in Boston when I was there for a gaming convention, and it felt like it was
Ooh,
like
oh,
the
that's
whole
creepy.
hotel was given
Yeah.
like 1930s Victorian. So, and you
Oh,
could tell it was old. The hallways looked like The Shining.
I've
So
stayed in
I
that
was just
hotel by the
like,
way. In The
it's so
Shining. It's in Stanley. Yeah, it's at the Stan. It's in Estes Park. I've stayed there.
hell no,
It's
there's no part
fucked.
of me. I
Yeah,
can't imagine.
and the
I
big
really
stairs
honestly
going up.
can't. I
Yeah,
can't.
it's
Okay, so
pretty.
maybe on the ghost tour. We'll see. I would be interested though. I definitely think I'd be interested. You should share a link. Let me check it out.
All right, all right.
See how
Actually, you
Connor
know
feels
what?
about ghosts. I think it'd be
Maybe
fun
we
though.
just bully him into it.
What if we did? What if we did? We're like, hey everyone, we're back for a bonus episode. We're on a ghost tour. They're like, wait a minute, how does this have to do with marketing? And how does this have to do with AI?
Connor, yeah, we never see Connor again. Connor just pieces out.
And Connor's gone.
Connor's gone.
Oh my God.
Anyway,
Okay. But how was your weekend? How was the last week? How was your weekend?
it was good. Friday. So Friday. Shout out to my buddy, Paul French. I call him Pablo. He started from nothing. In fact, it's a side gig. He's going to transition here pretty soon. Well, yeah, I can say that. Whatever. He has a magazine here in Denver called Denver's.
Hmm.
Started literally from nothing. He sells the ads. He does the content, which is not AI generated. He has like a badge on the masthead of the magazine that's like, this is AI free. And I was giving him shit about it. Like, I don't even know what that means, dude. Like, look, AI writes so much of our SEO content. And it's like, oh no, like AI writes SEO content. Like, yes,
I'm
that is
not
a thing.
surprised. That's my
Yeah.
predictions. Like we're gonna see more things that are labeled like not AI or this was human made. So
Okay. Yeah.
I'm not surprised to
So he
see
was
that.
early in that. See, I want to say he's had it for a year and a half, and he's got some
Hmm.
big advertisers now. It's just him selling the ads. Uh, and for context, we used to work together at the magazine that I worked at. He was the editor. I was the top sales guy, not a big deal. And so he wanted to learn how to sell ads, and I was like, yeah, dude, just come in my office, listen to some calls. So like we play it off, and he was like, I don't know if you've ever met somebody that's, and it was so genuine. it's his first time doing anything, right? It's like, it doesn't matter. You're going to be bad. But he was so bad that he was good. And I was like, dude, that's like how you sell. You just come across as like genuine, like, dude, I'm not.
Yeah,
And he would come
yeah.
across as like, I'm not on the sales team. I'm the editor. We have like 2 pages left. It should be this amount. Now it's this. Do you want it? And he would get deals. And then he took that skill set of learning how to sell to start his own thing.
That's cool.
And he's crushing it. So he had a Friday night launch party. He rented out
Mm.
the space. He had a DJ there. He had a local brewery donated a bunch of beer, and he had a comedian there. And he had like a community, like a pretty good amount of people. And again, it's just basically just him doing it. I mean, he has contributing writers and artists.
Yeah, that's
Hats
amazing.
off to him.
Yeah,
Frenchie, yeah, that's fucking amazing that he's doing that. Yeah, clicks to that dude.
yeah,
That guy
yeah, yeah.
he works his bag off on that. And he just texted me yesterday that a big player in Denver like reached out to him for um,
Oh, that's
uh,
cool.
advertising, like a bit like they're national, but they're headquartered in Denver. Like
Yeah,
they're big boys.
good
And I
for
was like,
him.
fucking rights, dude, get him, man. So that was Friday night. Yeah, stayed out way too late, but we had fun. Uh, Watched the Bronco. Like, no, Broncos had a bye. Broncos are playing next week.
I did
Um,
watch football this weekend.
they won, right?
No, I didn't watch
49ers
that.
or
Well, yes, they did, but I watched the Bears Packers game because I'm from Chicago. My
oh
whole
yeah, yeah.
family lives there. For some strange reason, half my family are Packers fans, even though they've never lived in Wisconsin. I just think they're
Hmm.
tired of the Bears. Like the Bears haven't won a playoff game in 15 years or whatever, like crazy amount of years it's been. So I think that's really why like people hopped off the like Bears wagon so that they
Hmm.
can, yeah, be fans of other teams that actually are not bad. So I did watch that game this weekend, Charlie. I watched some sports ball. So that was
Okay. Okay. All
I
right.
watched sports.
Nice.
So
Did you watch
yeah.
any hockey by chance?
Hell no.
Do you like hockey or do you like football more than hockey?
I don't have a
You don't
preference.
even
I
watch
think they're
hockey
just,
really,
I
like,
don't really, I mean, look, if someone's like, let's go to a hockey game, I'd be like, yeah, I'd be totally down. But like in my free time to watch hockey,
yeah, yeah. It's not the
nah,
thing. Yeah,
it's not the thing for me.
I
But
got
I'm
you.
not like, I do enjoy watching it if like at like, yeah, the game itself. So
So that was Friday. Yeah, just did some worked on the apps Saturday, Sunday. Yeah, played hockey. I do 3v3, so 3 guys against 3 guys, 2 goalies on this like mini sheet of ice, and your heart rate is like 310 the entire time. Like as a goalie, you're
oh,
doing weighted squats for an hour and a half straight. Like it is brutal. It is
so you literally will have
fucking
the best thighs ever if you like play goalie, is what you're telling me,
yes. And
right?
as they say, the
Like
trunk, the
the
yeah,
try. I
the
see. I
and
see. Okay.
there is a thing called hockey butt, which is a thing. I don't know. I'm getting too old. Yeah, I'm getting no. Like I told my
See, I'm
PT.
learning things every week from this podcast.
Yeah,
Whether it's from our guests, who
I
we're
don't
going to
want
talk
to.
to Sylvia today, very exciting, or if
Yeah,
it's
she's a
Charlie or
boss.
Connor. So either way.
So that was Sunday, and I'm getting very stoked. I cannot freaking wait for the Olympics. I love the Olympics. Just that competition at that level is unbelievable. I love it. I freaking love it. Obviously, for the hockey, we have a couple guys from our group that are flying over there to watch some of the U.S. games. And then obviously skiing, but the long jump, is that what it's called? Where they basically just like float down the side of a
It's
mountain?
crazy. Yeah, like with their skis, right? Where they're
Yeah,
like,
that looks
yeah.
so freaking awesome. I want to do that so bad. I mean, I would freak
I
out in
would
the
break
air.
my entire body, but it would be
Yeah,
cool,
I'd break in
you
half.
know?
But uh, yeah, I cannot wait for the Olympics. I love the Olympics. Yeah, I'm that person. I don't know if I'll
I mean,
shut
I can't wait
everything
till they're in
down.
LA. So once they're in LA, I think that's in like 4 years from now. I don't remember. I don't know, but I think you can start getting tickets actually really soon. So we're gonna
Okay,
really try our best to go to the LA Olympics, but that's not till yeah,
it's
2028.
28, right? Yeah.
So, but
Well, yeah,
tickets are about
it
to
wouldn't
for
be
locals.
27.
No, yeah, no, it wouldn't be. But tickets are about to go live for those that are local. So my
Sick.
father-in-laws, they were like, please get tickets
Yes,
because we want to go so bad.
I want to go.
So that's
Yes.
the Olympics that I'm prepping for.
Okay. So
Yeah.
another 4. Okay. It'll take you
Yeah.
4 years to
It's
prep. Yeah.
it's not it's only
Yeah.
2028. We're 2 years
Um,
away.
So, yeah, they were planning on that. They're like, "Yo, Los, can you make it out?" I was like, I got, the app is, fuck, I wanted to, but no, next time.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that was cool, and yeah, we got some cool shit coming up with the podcast, dialing in more guests. Obviously, the app campaign pilots is growing, getting good feedback on that. So that's cool. Yeah.
Oh
That's been
yeah.
my week. What about you?
Let's go. Let's go. Okay, so last week, I mean, definitely still ramping up for the new year. Even this week, my brain still feels like I'm trying to kind of come back online from the break. But my honestly, my weekend was extremely chill because I've been spending the last few weeks traveling. So just
Yeah,
like resetting the house. I had
yeah.
brunch club with some friends.
Oh, where'd you go?
We went to a place called Plain Jane here in the Mission, and I had these sick. Okay, so when I go out for breakfast, I'm a classic breakfast gal. Two eggs over easy, maybe some sausage
Ugh,
links, toast, and then on the side. Okay, you know what? You know what, Charlie?
the
I'm
over
leaving this
easy,
podcast
that
now.
is foul. That
Okay, you're
is,
crazy.
oh
Okay.
my
Well, I
gosh.
like my steaks medium rare. I like
Oh yeah,
my over easy eggs, whatever. I mean, not raw, obviously, but like, okay.
I'm
And then on
scrambled
the
eggs.
side at this place, you can order, there was four different types of pancakes. So like coconut, red velvet, chive
Oh,
pancake. So I had a savory pancake for breakfast. And let me tell you, chive pancakes are the shit. They're really,
chive
really good.
pancakes, really?
Never had it in my life. Fluffy. It was savory. It was so good. But yeah, so I had some brunch club, right? And we have that. I have that every month. I now have brunch club and
Yeah,
craft club every month.
hell yeah.
My sister's like, "You're in too many clubs." I'm like, "Well, they're clubs that like I made with friends, so it's not really like, this big thing." But um, so did some of that. Um, I watched, oh gosh, we don't need to get into this world, but I did watch the movie Civil War. Did just to
Mm.
like, get myself attuned with the current times. So that enraged me, but I watched that. Uh, and what else? I mean, I met a lot of new founders last week, which was really exciting. Starting some like new advisory works, kicking off some new work with some other startups at the beginning of this year. I've been talking to some investors and funds about potentially
Mm.
doing some co sort of partnered events this year. I'm really looking to kind of yeah, build more community both in SF and in the tech space in general this year. So I feel like I've had a lot of just really great conversations at the beginning of the year, and that all that just always feels really good.
Yeah, that
So,
momentum, yeah. Just
yeah,
keep
yeah,
that thing
yeah,
rolling. Yeah,
yeah,
love it.
exactly, exactly. So,
We need to cover more
um,
events. When I say more, I
yeah,
guess that sounds like we've done it in the past. We need to cover events this calendar
yeah,
year, whether an Apple launch party or
yeah.
I don't know, build-a-thon, especially build-a-thon.
I'm already
We'll put,
talking to someone next week that is in the world of building a lot of these kinds of events. And I know you,
mhm.
me, and Connor talked about like how can we not just connect with more founders in general, but how can we be in the community, be
Yeah,
active at these build-a-thons, hackathons, founder event, like whatever it may be. And
yeah.
so I'm trying to kind of like put my feelers out there and see who I can partner with. Um, and yeah, so I feel like lots of great momentum there for the beginning of the year and got in a few yoga sessions and
Ooh,
I'm still sore.
okay. What
So
kind
I
of
did
yoga?
like 30 freaking chaturangas in one
Yeah,
session. Uh Vinyasa hot yoga. Always usually typically vinyasa hot
hot yoga
yoga
is
every time. So I
gnarly.
was sweating like you'd never even believe I've sweat before. So, but that's good. I feel like it clears me
Yeah,
out.
just get it out. Yeah.
So yeah, honestly, that's it. Like I don't have anything super crazy to share outside of that. I am starting to kind of do some of my 2026 sort of goal planning, which I usually do at the end of each year, but I just between traveling and getting sick with the norovirus, I didn't even want to think about goals.
Yeah.
So I feel like that's something that I'm kind of starting to get into now as well, which yeah, I love doing that sort of work. So, but that's me.
I forgot to mention, I started because we'd mentioned it in the last episode, Raising Capital. I was flipping. How did I stumble into it? I think I was trying to watch maybe like YouTube or something. I don't know. I just stumbled into it. I started watching Silicon Valley again, and I forgot how unbelievably like how freaking funny that show is. That show
So
is
good.
unbelievable. Yeah, I watched the first season this past week, and I was like, this show is
You know what'd be
is
funny? You know what'd be
unreal.
funny to do after some time is like once we continue to build our community, we do watch parties where we just like, watch an episode of a show like that with our community and just, laugh and giggle.
Yeah,
Like I think
yeah,
that could be really fun.
yeah.
So,
That I laughed when who's the guy? Is it Guilfoyle? Yeah, Guilfoyle. He like pops up out of the pool. He's like trying to get in front of that guy's girlfriend, the goth girl. I laughed so hard. Like he's such a donkey, but
I
he's
think
so
every
funny.
character is quintessential in that show. Like they all play a great part and they're all equally funny and
I love
I
Jin
don't know if
Yang.
I'm ready.
I
I don't know.
love Jin
Jin
Yang.
Yang is so good. Guilfoyle's great. Like, yeah, yeah, Guilfoyle is also great.
We went to the same high school, but he's four
Stop.
years ahead. We went to the same middle school too. I think I know where his parents, in a non-creepy way, I think I know where his parents live, in like the Denver area. Yeah, it's just kind of
That's
weird, but
actually kind of funny. That's actually
yeah,
kind
he's from Denver.
of, oh my gosh.
Anyway,
Anyway,
that
anyway.
show is freaking awesome. So, back to your advising. So when you advise, Mallory,
Yeah,
like what are some of the first things that you look at? Like
it's a
first
great
problems to
question.
solve.
I mean, the first thing I do is I try to just get a sense of, especially because I mostly focus on marketing when I'm advising,
Hmm.
obviously.
SEO.
Definitely not SEO. I'm not your girl for that, obviously. So funny. But sort of just taking a look at any sort of existing documentation, any sort of research that there is around the users or their target customer,
Hmm.
getting a sense of all of their marketing channels that exist and sort of diving in and going through the flows myself to really understand their product, their onboarding, their marketing messaging, their positioning, how they show up on all of these different social channels. So I kind of take some time doing that. And then it just depends on what these sessions look like because every founder that I work with is at a different stage of their company, and
Yeah.
so I usually try to get a sense of like what are your goals? Like, are you trying to raise 5 million in a few months? Are you trying to completely focus on traction and growth right now? Have you found product market fit? Because all of these like asking these questions and learning more about these things does then play a role in like how we approach marketing. Um, because if you haven't found product market fit yet and you're already, I think it's important to start building community. It's important to start investing in marketing, but you're not going to be putting all of your resourcing and timing into
Hmm.
that, right? Like you're trying to, I think there's a lot of like one-to-one sort of work trying to figure out does my product resonate with the target and the customer that we're going after? And so to me, a lot of that work needs to be done before you go out and do all of this marketing, right? So just
Hmm.
trying to also work with, my founders on education and like how to think about marketing because I work with so many founders that don't even have a background in marketing, so they don't have previous experience.
Like
Even
engineers?
yeah, I work
Really?
with a lot of technical founders that just
Hmm.
don't have that expertise in marketing. So it's not just about like, helping them outline what's next for them or helping them on the execution part of like the fine details of what's going out and what the content looks like, but it's also about um, just like the why, just because so many of them don't have that experience, either like working cross-functionally with marketing at another company or having that marketing background in general. So, um, yeah, and then I try to kind of keep it open too, because I want founders to come to me with, the things that keep them up at night and how can I help solve for those. But for the most part, that's kind of the way that I tackle at least like the first few sessions. Is really sort of getting that download, that context,
Hmm.
and asking a lot of questions regarding, okay, you have a wait list, but like who's on it, and what are they like, and
How'd you get it?
how'd you get it?
Yeah.
And so just yeah, lots of learning, even like meeting the team. I do like if they have, a few folks in their team, meeting them, trying to get a perspective of not just their role and what they do per se, but how do they think about the company? How do they think about the brand? What do they think the future will look like for this company? Like what do they think success looks like? I like to
Hmm.
get other perspectives too on the team. So, Yeah, but I advise on all things like go to market to building out community programs to, content channels, like how do you approach that to messaging and positioning. So it really is kind of a range, but those are usually sort of the areas of focus that I am focused on, I guess. So,
Okay, so I've been watching some video, because of our app and everything. I've been watching videos on go-to-market. Can you peel the curtain back on that? I mean, not like a
hmm.
deep rabbit hole, but on go-to-market, can you? Because I've heard different things from different people. So
Like now I'm like, what's the actual definition?
is this like, do we have to edit this out?
No, 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 no,
Okay,
not at all, not at
okay.
all. I'm just more so actually
Is
curious.
this like
So usually to me,
is
like,
this like a whole can of worms that I'm opening
no,
up here? Go-to-market. Okay.
no, no, no. I love go to market work. I love talking about it. I think just the fact that you said like, you're listening to other people who kind of position it in a different way makes me be like, oh, like, how do I position it? Because I haven't really thought about it too much.
Mm,
But to me, a go to market is a sort of plan or a strategy on how you're going to launch your product or said product feature into the world. And then so it's that plan, that strategy, and then it's
mm,
about corralling the stakeholders and sort of the folks that are going to be involved to execute said plan. But it usually revolves around a product feature, a launch of some sort, an announcement, some sort of event that you're launching. It usually it revolves around some sort of launch. And then from there, the go to market consists of like, okay, what's our goals? What's our messaging? How are we positioning this launch?
mm,
So a lot of the times when I work on like when I say messaging and positioning, a lot of that work I do for the company and the brand as a whole. But then like there are layers to that, right? So if you're working on a go to market plan, okay, like what's the messaging that we're going to be shipping to customers? What are the channels? What are those channel? What type of content are they going to have on those channels? It's sort of like, getting into the details of what the go to market would consist of. I'm actually working on that. I'm working on a specific project for a startup right now where I'm
oh,
going to be leading their go to market. So,
cool.
and then working with some folks in their company to execute that, right?
Yeah,
So, yeah,
that's
usually
exciting.
starts with a really great plan. And then those types of details are outlined in a go to market.
Got it. Okay. All right. Keep us
Yeah.
updated on that. I want to see like
Oh, whale.
what that entails, and obviously our founder audience will want to know that as well. Cool.
Yeah.
Good shit.
Yeah. Yeah. Good
Uh,
stuff.
who are we? So we're interviewing. I asked you
We're
if you know.
talking to
I already know that.
Sylvia.
Yeah, she
Yes.
is great.
Okay. She's amazing. Today we're talking to Silvia Oviedo Lopez. She is someone who I consider to be like the consumer marketing queen. Like she was at Yahoo very early. She was at Pinterest very early. She was at Canva. Not only was she at Canva early, but then she built, a massive team. I think of like 800 to 1,000 people
Woo.
at Canva. So she is, like I said, the consumer queen. And um, yeah, of course, we're going to dive into her in a sec here, but she's also been a mentor of mine, and she invested in whatever when I worked on that a few years ago, and has just been a great advisor over the last few years. I've really been able to learn from her,
Mm.
and I told Charlie this too, but I'm more of like a golden retriever. I have kind of a big personality. Charlie called me a honey badger, which I've been kind of running around with lately. Like when you
Oh,
told me
have
that last week,
you?
I told my husband, I'm like, Charlie called me a honey badger. I was like, isn't that kind of great? And then I started looking it
What do
up
you
and I'm
say?
like, he's just like, yeah, that's you, dude. Like, he's like, yeah, he got it right, sort of
Yeah, yeah.
thing,
On that first video, I was like, "She's a fucking honey
I
bat." Or
know,
our
I
first video,
know.
the
The
very
call.
first time we spoke, I was like, "Yeah, she's a honey bat." All
It's
right,
so
all right,
funny.
this is gonna
Excuse my
work.
dogs. Excuse my dogs if you hear them. But
By the way, I showed my dad that video. To me, that's when the internet started, is the honey badger video, and I
oh
showed my dad,
yes.
which is where that comes from. So, my dad, for context, he is a mechanic by trade. He's retired now. So to him, he's worked on machines his whole life, a car mechanic. He's worked on machines his whole life. So he's very like who, what, when, where, why.
Ah,
He's very, very much if you do this, this is going to change over here. This is going to change. This is going to change here. So he's always like 3 or 4 steps ahead. Very logic, very reasoning. My mom went to Harvard. My dad's smarter than my mom. So I showed him that video. And he was like crying laughing. He's like, Honey Badger doesn't give a shit. And he was like, he like burst out. He was like dying laughing. I was
Oh
like,
my God. No, it
that
is a
was
classic. It's a
awesome.
classic meme. And in fact, after we're done recording, I probably will go watch it just to like,
Yeah, yeah,
just to feel something again. But I think that she, ever since I've known her, she's been such a calm, grounding presence,
yeah.
and
Gotta have
um,
that. Yeah,
she gotta have it.
especially
And
as an advisor. Yeah.
she's a parent. She's got two kids, and like so I love learning about her just journey of being a parent. But then, um, she actually became a or learned how to do yoga like right after her time at Canva. She took like 1 month off. And became a yoga
Yes.
teacher and then kind of like dove in to start like, becoming a founder and what have you. But what I guess I'm trying to say, she keeps you on your toes too. So although
Okay.
she's like calm and grounded, like, I'm always curious to see what Sylvia's up to. So I think for those of you listening, you're definitely going to take away a lot from our conversation with her today.
Sweet.
Yeah,
Let's roll.
let's do it. Let's dive in. Welcome, everyone. We're here to talk today with Silvia Oviedo Lopez. She is a founder, global leader, really focusing on growth at work, making growth at work more human, of course. Also a writer. But Silvia has spent the last 2 decades building and leading teams at Canva and Pinterest, where Silvia has helped grow products from early stage momentum into these massive global platforms, working across so many countries and millions of users. And she sort of sits at the intersection of technology, culture, human development, building amazing teams. So Silvia, and we're so excited to have you here today.
Thank you so much for having me. Very, very excited to be here.
Yes, yes.
Awesome. Cool
And one
stuff.
other thing to note too, she is building her own startup. So we're going to also dive into the world of her becoming a founder as well.
Exciting stuff.
So exciting.
Real
Go
quick, how did y'all meet? How did like what's the story there from your side, Sylvia?
So we met a couple years ago. I cannot pinpoint exactly what was a year, but it was a couple years ago as Mallory was building her own startup. She was going on her founder journey
Hmm.
and she was trying to connect with angel investors and advisors, and we got connected through a mutual friend. And I was really impressed by her energy and
Hmm.
also her willingness to test and explore and try to push the boundaries of what she was building at the time.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, I remember it very, very well. I was introduced to Sylvia through an ed tech founder, Audrey, who I hope to have here on the podcast in the future. And she was just talking about how, if I'm building in the consumer space, there's no one better to chat with than the consumer queen herself, Sylvia. So I was connected with her and just, throughout my own journey of being a founder and working at other high growth startups, Sylvia has just been extremely invaluable when it comes to all things marketing. She's taught me a lot in the only few years that we've met. So this is really exciting for me.
I've
But
got
yeah.
I've got to ask Sylvia, have you seen or heard Mallory in karaoke?
I have not firsthand, but I have heard about how good she is.
Is it
So that's
okay? I've heard she's like really
Oh
good.
my goodness.
Like,
I mean, well, I did tell Sylvia my recent dream about wanting to become an opera singer. So she
oh,
does she
okay.
does know about that. I saw her last month and we were catching up over what she was building and what I've been up to. And I was like, Sylvia, I think I want to be an opera singer.
Yes.
And then she walked by the Conservatory of Music in San Francisco and sent a photo. She's like, it's a sign, it's gonna
it's
Oh,
a good
cool.
happen.
sign. It needs to happen. I think, I don't know, maybe the podcast can veer into a musical podcast genre at some point.
Mm.
So that's something to consider.
Cool, cool.
Oh
Okay.
my gosh. Oh my gosh. Okay. So let's dive in. I think, I talked a little bit about the fact that you've been at Pinterest and Canva, right? Now you're building sort of your own AI startup as well. Um, how are you like, how did you get to this point with all of your experience and your background? Like, what made you decide to be at a place where like, I'm ready to be a founder? And how do you think those previous experiences helped you get to this moment?
Yeah, that's a great question. And to be quite honest, it's been a very long time in the making. I think there's sometimes you take big leaps and sometimes you need to let things marinate just to find the right personal moment, right idea, and right technology. And I think being a founder is something that I've kind of had in me for many years. I came to tech with a non-traditional background. I trained as a translator back when I went to college. The only option that I thought was possible if you studied computer science was to work at a bank, and that was not something that I was very excited about. So I was like, okay, let me travel the world, learn languages, learn culture. But I ended up with an internship at Yahoo my last year. So I kind of like went into tech right away after college. And that idea of starting something myself was always very appealing. But along the way, I found super exciting challenges and super exciting ideas that were being started by other people. And I had the privilege of joining and shaping them from the very early stages to reaching 500 million users worldwide. So I took that little bit of a detour, but it actually came with a lot of learnings. I was exposed to the front line of a lot of big breakthroughs in technology, from social media to mobile to SaaS, now AI. And as I was revisiting about a year ago, like, well, what do I want to do next? It really felt the right time to go into this founder journey. I think I alluded before to the right personal time, the right technology, and the right idea. I think in the past I've had these moments, for example, when blockchain started to be a thing, it was like, okay, this feels a very exciting time to build, but I couldn't get excited enough about the technology itself. So I think it's really important to have that alignment of stars.
What is it like just hearing your journey, it's like I started mine mine was back in like 2018. Was there something that wanted like for me it was like my boss was just a donkey. Like was it something along the lines of like that? Like I've heard it's either like a build up, all right, I'm gone, or it's like one event that's like, all right, I'm out of here.
No, for me, it was more, I don't know, I actually wrote on my Substack about it. Every November, I take 1 week to reflect and
Hmm.
define, well, what do I want to do next in the next 12 months? Like it's 12 months is actually a very long period of time. So I take stock of the year and try to be deliberate about what's coming next. And for me, it was that cycle of I joined Canva at the beginning of 2022 and I had set goals for myself. I was like, okay, I want to achieve these things. I want to help the company get to these points. I want to build a team that's very strong. And the last thing for me was I wanted to open the San Francisco office. And that is something that we did in February 2025. And it felt like, okay, I'm done with that initial cycle. It's like a
Yeah.
3 and some change year cycle. And as I was thinking about what next, I was like, okay, like it feels the right time for me to pass this on to the next person and go explore what the next adventure is going to be for me. And I was very excited about building something. We're still in stealth, so more on
Hmm.
what I'm building in a few weeks. But when an idea is planted in your head and you just cannot let it go. And
Yeah.
so it felt like that, and it had been a few months. And I was like, you know what? I have to take the plunge right now. It feels the right
Hmm.
timing. The it's such an exciting time to build, to be quite honest.
Yeah,
There's so much
absolutely.
energy. San Francisco, I'm based in San Francisco, and San Francisco is really coming back. I've lived here for 15 years, and this is something that I felt back in the 2010s. And then it's like in 2014, 2016, we had another big cycle of a lot of excitement, a lot of new startups, a lot of new people coming in with new ideas. And so it felt that way all over again. So I just wanted to be part of it again.
Yeah. And how do you think the AI sort of cycle that we're in right now is different from all of these other sorts of the technological shifts that you've experienced because you've been in tech for so long? So what makes this feel very different other than the fact that like you believe in it, you believe in the technology and want to build for it, but do you think that there's anything else that you're like this just makes it so different from, the blockchain era versus all of these other areas?
I think the one thing that makes this cycle a little bit different from my perspective, compared to previous cycles, maybe the last 2 or 3 cycles. So social would be the previous one, or blockchain, is the fact that it is foundational in the way that it's transforming the way that we approach work. In a very similar way to how the internet revolution happened in the late 90s, early 2000s, you went from a completely offline or like primarily offline world to a connected, online, immediate way to operate. And we're going through that transition. Right? And this is all about knowledge access and efficiency. And the reality is that we're just scratching the surface today. We're going to look back in 10 years and we're going to be like, oh, that was cute. It's interesting because I just saw yesterday that Claude announced that they are launching Claude Code for non-coders. Like, okay, like very excited to have that available for the rest of us. And I think it's really, really interesting to look at all that foundational shift that, well, is starting to happen and will happen more and more. The way we work, the way we learn, the way we relate to each other, the way we access information, the way we shop. For example, I think shopping is a very interesting space where there's going to be a big shift in how consumer behavior and consumer patterns take place. And it's also going to impact, and we're already seeing the impact in how people discover information, how business models that were fully rooted and very mature, like A, shopping, or B, online discovery, SEO, are suffering really, really massive shifts. And we're trying to figure out and make sense of what that means today, but also what it means for the future.
Can you go more into this? I'm taking notes here. You'd mentioned shopping a couple times and how that's shifting. Can you go more into that?
Absolutely. So I think, I mean, it's interesting, right? Because shopping has gone through a pretty big shift over the past 10, 15 years, where you used to go to the store and buy something, to then you might do a little bit of research online, but still go in person, to now shopping is a online heavy behavior. People discover online, they purchase online, they process exchanges online. And this happens across any vertical. It's not just clothes or shoes or technology. It's literally your food, this is quick caveat. I'm based in San Francisco. It's like San Francisco is a very online city across the board. This might not necessarily translate if you're hearing this podcast from a small village in the middle of Spain, which is where my family lives. But so I get to see a little bit of that difference, but I also see a lot of these behavioral patterns that are spread out globally. So I think online shopping is one of them. We have gone from a place where shopping was a little bit of that catalog-based experience, where you went online, you saw what was available, and you picked what you wanted, you got it shipped to your home, to suddenly we are seeing a world where the machine handles the discovery process. Just
Interesting.
lead with your intent, right? It's like you might want a grocery list, and AI is going to help pick what's the best for you. And you're just going to get the final list, and you're going to purchase those.
So like you would get a few outfits, right? Or accessories, instead of me going on Anthropology and going through, I'm going to go through all of the new sort of stuff they have. Like, it's going to be curated for me, which I've never even thought about that yet. That's fascinating.
Exactly. And so I think from the perspective of the retailer, that actually shifts the pattern of how consumers shop really, really aggressively, right? Because you go from a discovery browse experience, right? And I think at Pinterest, that was a huge part of the user behavior, right? You went there, you browse, and then you ended up making some decisions. You may purchase something, you may save things for later, versus now you lead with your intent, and the machine does its thing in an opaque way, and then you get a highly relevant result, right? It's like the outcome is great for the user, but it does change the pattern. And I also wonder if we are, in that regard, building a little bit of echo chambers where you might be less exposed to new things with this paradigm. I think there's really cool products that are popping up in this space. Like there's a new app actually by a couple ex Pinterest people called Daydream, which is in the shopping space. And this is like highly curated, personalized shopping, but also trying to open up to that editorial curation, which I think is so important.
Mm.
Definitely. I think that we're also just dealing with so much, decision fatigue, right? Analysis paralysis, right? I'm just thinking right now, like my husband and I trying to pick something to watch on Netflix, which can take so freaking long, right? So, being able to experience curation in all of these different areas, to your point, where making decisions can take a long time, or discovery is just kind of, some people don't like it. I personally do. Because I love curation and taste. So I love going through a ton of Pinterest sort of boards, but I don't think most people have the time to do a lot of this. So I can see how this would actually be super beneficial for consumers.
I don't like it. I don't.
You're like,
I don't
no.
like all the choices. I don't like going to restaurants and the menus are like 6 pages long. Like
I do hate that
I
actually.
just spoon feed it, bird feed it to
Just
me.
give it to me. Just exactly.
Yeah,
Exactly.
that's the
Oh
way
my
I am.
gosh.
So Sylvia, I'm doing some research. Is it correct that you've many years ago when the SEO space?
Yes, I've been coming in and out of that area. Yes.
Okay, okay, cool. So in your lens, how has it changed when you were doing it to what it is now, which is basically just answers?
Yeah, I think it's interesting because kind of like going back to that conversation about how discovery works, right? And I think very foundationally, one of the reasons why the internet, when it came out, I don't know, I got access to the internet around the year 2000. I was 15 and it was the best thing ever
Yeah,
because it was
free music.
endless discovery. You could access anything, right? It's like you just had to find things. And I'm gonna date myself. I predate search engines a little bit, like the widespread use of search engines. I cut
You
my
and me
teeth
both.
in directories,
Okay.
It's
which was
crazy.
fun. So before you had to go through a directory, right? And then it ended up being so much information that you needed that help to parse through the information, right? So you went through that from disaggregation to that aggregation point of the search engine, Google in particular, as your starting point. And that helped you understand the world, right? It's like in any vertical, any landscape. Um, However, that actually what that meant is that you only got the top 10 results. So SEO people in SEO got really good at ranking for that. And so the reason why I got closer to SEO is because my husband works in SEO and he's like, he spent his career
Mm,
uh, primarily in that space. He always says that building for SEO is just building a great experience. You're building for a user that needs to understand what you do really well and needs to understand your content really well. And while there's all flavors of SEO and all flavors of people doing things the right way and people doing things a little bit sneakily, I think
mm,
if you lead with high quality content and transparency and helping situate a user that in Google that doesn't quite know what to do with your stuff. They like Google machines, AI doesn't guess. You need to be very explicit with what you're telling so that it can make the right decisions or organize information in the right way. So I think a lot of those early days principles still hold in an answer-based world.
Mhm.
And what changes pretty radically is that back 15 years ago, you had a 1 in 10 chance to be a winner. Today you have a 1 in 2 or 1 in 3. So the odds are not in the favor of the people who are creating the content that will be consumed. So you just need to be extra better. And I think this is right now, we've been seeing this for the past year or two. There's a lot of companies that relied really, really heavily on SEO for their growth, and suddenly the rug has been pulled from under their feet. There was a similar situation that happened, I think it was 2011 when Panda happened, that completely shifted
Yep.
Mm.
what was considered a winner on a search page. And I think we're going through something similar. You saw companies rebound after that. It wasn't immediate. It took a couple of years for people to understand the
Hmm.
new model and the new rules of the game. So I think we're going to be seeing something very similar right now. But going back to your question, like what is different, what is the same? I think creating high quality content will always
Hmm.
be beneficial, right? And users will prefer it. So I think that investment will continue to pay off.
I think foundational content and building for the user and just being the authority in your space is how to get listed.
Yeah.
And then all these, I don't know, all these acronyms coming out, it's more or less the same thing, I think.
Yeah, exactly.
Anyway, can we get into your trend reports? You
Yeah.
said every November you do that, correct? Can
Every
you kind of
November, I think she takes time to reflect, um, sort of like on your next steps for the year. I've never seen you do a trend report before. Is this newer for you to sort of do some predictions and outline what you think will happen the next year?
It is new in public. I always do it every
Yeah.
year.
Okay. No.
I
all
will
right.
Okay.
tell
So
my
okay, I
husband,
was
yeah.
wrong. Charlie, you were right. Okay. Ignore me. Ignore me. You
So
do this
no,
every year.
I've never published it before. It was the first time. So I always tell my husband and my couple very good friends, like, I think this is gonna happen next year, or like this is coming in the next 5 years. Actually, one of the things that I like most proud of predicting, which probably will not surprise anyone, is no code tools. I
Mm,
learned a little bit of very basic coding when I was a teenager, and then I never had the time to properly learn. But then at some point I was like, you know what? Someone's gonna come up with a better way. I won't need to learn how to code. So I'll just wait for that to be built. And I'm so glad that we're in that era because I have superpowers. So every year I try to predict what's coming, and I call it the Mary Maker moment. But this year I was like, okay, I have the time, I have the Substack. Let me actually put pen to paper and create something that's proper. And what started as a hey, let's just do a Substack post with some trends, it ended up being like a proper properly researched, properly backed up trend report with 2 posts. We broke Substack. I didn't know you had a limit. You do have a limit. So we had to do 2 posts.
that's amazing. I know that one of your first trends is, that the big consumer AI breakthrough still hasn't landed. You say AI has become the starting point where people begin their work, but there's still this sort of massive white space. So, what's missing, and what should AI founders be building right now?
Yeah, that's something that I keep going back to. There's no single consumer product that has revolutionized it. I think there's a couple foundational products like
Yeah.
OpenAI, ChatGPT, that felt very revolutionary, Claude, and so on. But I see those as the foundational layer, similar to what the Google could be. It's the starting point. That's where you start your day. That's where you start your research. But what I haven't seen emerge yet, which I think we'll probably see happening in the next couple of years, is more of a vertical application of
Mm,
AI, right? And both in the consumer side of things as well as the enterprise SaaS space. I think that's going to be a really, really big breakthrough. And right now, there's a lot of exploration. There's a lot of products that are being created at the vertical level on top of these foundational layers. But I think we're going to be in for a lot of like fun surprises and explorations and new ways of approaching pre-existing problems
yeah.
with that AI first lens, not just jamming AI into pre-existing
Sure.
goals, but really
Yeah.
thinking through a problem from an AI first perspective.
Yeah, it's interesting because when you look at the stats, like there's still so many people who have not utilized AI, they've not tried AI, right? And so you grew up in a small village in Spain. Do your parents understand AI? Does anyone that you grew up with understand that world yet? Because I know, like you said, I'm in San Francisco as well. Like we are in our bubble here. And I have this assumption sometimes, like, yeah, everyone's used ChatGPT when actually like it's only 10% of the world that has used a tool like that, right? So do your parents, do they understand this world? Do they know?
They do. I took the time to explain it early on,
Mm.
but
Good.
I think you bring up a really interesting point, right? There's like, what is the adoption curve, and how can we as builders make sure that we are making this new technology accessible and not scary? Because the
Yeah.
reality is that AI can feel scary. It can feel like replacing, which I personally think it shouldn't do. Like, I think on principle, products should be built to enhance human capabilities, not to replace humans. But I think it's a very valid concern that some works have been displaced or potentially will be displaced. Some new occupations will be formed as part of that. And I think that's with any technological revolution is a pattern that we do see. There's a shift. There's a shift in the skill sets. There's a shift in what success looks like. And there's new opportunities that emerge. And those are a couple of things that I touched on the trends for 2026. One is what I call the rise of the unicorn hire, with unicorn being defined in a very, very different way today versus 5 years ago. 5 years ago, you were a unicorn hire if you were an engineer turned PM with a degree from Harvard and another from Stanford. And you had worked at
Yeah.
IBM, and Apple. And now I think what a unicorn hire means is someone who is a quick learner, who has an appetite for like testing out new things, who leads with curiosity,
Mm.
because that in times of very rapid change and very quick technological advancement, you need to have that resilience, that curiosity, and that willingness to test and learn. Otherwise, no matter how specialized your knowledge is or how deep your knowledge is, the rules of the game are changing constantly. So it requires that adaptability. So I think what companies are going to be looking for in the people they hire, the people they promote, the people that they nurture is going to be a different skill set potentially from maybe 5, 7 years ago.
You wrote about the great paradigm blur. Can you go more into that?
Yeah, so one of the things that I've been observing is we used to have this kind of neat B2C, B2B,
Like category essentially of
yeah,
type of
categories,
business.
like
Yeah.
kind of like silos, right? It's
Yeah.
like you worked in consumer, you work in B2B, you were sale, like I think particularly in sales, like what is your motion? Like, are you doing B2B or
Hmm.
B2B? And that is one of the areas where I'm seeing a very quick blur. And the reality is that when you think about you individually, the tools that you use for work in reality are the same tools today that you use for your life.
Yeah.
You may run, I run my life on Google Calendar, because not just the work life, but also personal life, because there's
Yeah.
so much that's happening at all times that you need to have systems, right? You might be using a tool like Canva for work. You might use it for your home life as well. So the reality is that all that prior differentiation of what is a enterprise play versus a consumer play has blurred. And especially in AI, you probably are using your OpenAI or your Anthropic account both for personal and professional, and some people still keep two separate logins. Most people are just using the
Yeah.
same one for everything.
Hmm.
And I think that actually is going to have a like that user behavior shift is going to have a big impact in how companies choose to build products. And I think beyond that, like more business driven shift, there's also a generational shift. The people who are making the bulk of the workforce, at least in tech today, are millennials and Gen Z. This like we all grew up with that blur and that mix of personal and professional. There's like this
Yeah, absolutely.
whole self to work and it's
Yeah.
that. Well, it's like you also brought your whole work to your
Yeah.
personal life. Like it
My
was
values have to be super aligned with where I'm my political beliefs, right? Like
Hmm.
everything. Yeah, it's a good point.
exactly. So there, I think that big shift is something that is starting to crystallize in the way that the macro environment works. It's also another tangential trend. I didn't touch on this on the trend report, but something that is also very interesting is millennials are getting older, right? I think the eldest millennials are 40, turning 42 or 43
Yeah.
this year. You're starting to see a lot of new tools emerge in the health tech category, right? It's like longevity,
Yep.
health
Mm.
understanding, prevention, and also like things like
Even like perimenopause, menopause for older women, like, like not even
exactly.
older, like I'm right behind that. I don't know why I'm saying it, but like that is something that, like there's new technology and tools being created for women at that stage, and you've never seen things like that before, or at least,
Exactly.
yeah,
And I think
yeah,
it's just because we built to solve our problems, right? And like you have a whole generation that was behind some of the most iconic products in tech that are hitting that point in life, right? And so it's opened up all these new ways to approach older problems, and now with AI at the core as well. But I think that also happens on the other edge of the spectrum. You
Mm,
have and the workforce that's coming in has been educated on YouTube, if you will. Like Gen Z and Gen Alpha afterwards are truly digital native. They have like their learning is digital native uh,
yeah,
in a way, and also very, very self-paced. So I think we're going to be seeing a lot of shifts in that
an education there. Yeah.
education, development, how people approach these questions as they go into their career, which I think it's an interesting one. So going back to your question about the paradigm shift, like as you can see, there's a lot of very neatly defined categories that we've been playing with for the past 10 years that suddenly blur, and it's gonna feel like a free for all for a while until new categories emerge,
Yeah.
like
Mm.
frameworks. So I'm not saying that it's just going to blur forever. We'll come up with new ways to define things. It's just that,
We're in that
well,
period though, right? Like there's a reason why I heard the word B2C to B 60 million freaking times last year because of what you just said, right? Like the mix between professional and personal sort of life with these tools is completely blurred. I know with every single tool you listed, including Canva, I'm like, even Pinterest, like I use Pinterest to do branding exercises with companies, but then I also use it to do my mood board for the year, right? So it's a perfect example of that. Wow. Wow, 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 wow. Okay. 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 Switching gears here to Pinterest. So, when you were at Pinterest scaling internationally, what were the actual growth levers that worked at different stages? And do you think those same sort of playbooks apply to AI products today, or maybe not?
that's a great question. So I'll tell you the Pinterest story of how we approach international growth. So when I joined Pinterest early on, it was 2013 to help Pinterest speak languages and be available internationally, right? And that we always said that there were like 5 or 6 layers to how you take a product international. And that actually is, I think it applies or it applied to most products at that time. So first of all, you need to have a platform that works in every country, right? Like you need to be able to open the app and it needs to be reasonably fast. It needs to be available. It needs to load. So that infrastructure layer. Then you need to have the language. The product needs to be in the user's language. It needs to speak not just in like formally language like English or Spanish. It needs to be your local flavor of that language. US, UK, Mexican Spanish, European Spanish, and so on. On top of that, which I think is the interesting nuance for a product like Pinterest, the content needs to be local. And that is where we spent a lot of time. And that actually takes time to build. That is true for any content ecosystem, from a Pinterest to an Instagram to an like e-commerce, like no matter what, like the content that you put in front of users need to be locally relevant. I think another great example is Netflix. They've done a really good job on localizing the content to the audience, because users need to be able to relate to what they're seeing, right? We always use this example that is very basic, but is very true. We all eat, and most of us cook on a somewhat regular basis. If you put a recipe in caps to a European audience, people can know what to do with it, but it's not generally how recipes are communicated. So we actually had this creator that we were chatting to, and she was like, yeah, I love cooking. She was a cooking creator, but she was like, whenever I make recipes, I always end up like not making them right because I see them from US creators. They use a different measuring system. Turns out that a US cup is not the same as a UK cup.
Oh, I did not know that actually.
I don't know exactly. It was like a 20-gram difference situation. So you end up messing up recipes because they're not properly in your local context. Or any UK recipe will call for castor sugar. That's just a type, like how they, or like American recipes call for kosher salt. It's like there's not such salt sold in all the supermarkets, even though it might be a very similar thing. So making sure that the content is accessible, is something that can be purchased, that can be actioned in the context of the user, was something super important. How we went about it, we spent a lot of time working with local publishers just to make sure that if you were in France, you could look at content from Vogue France. We worked with local creators. So Pinterest had a number of categories that we were really focused on: fashion, food, DIY, travel, design, decor, and so on. So we work with the local creator ecosystem to make sure that the top creators knew how to use Pinterest to build their audience. And then on the flip side, we made sure that our discovery systems were relevant locally, right? It's like that's actually a lot of like deep work in terms of content understanding, content signals, building the right algorithms to make sure that when you sign up in Japan, your home feed is in Japanese primarily, with something that's relevant to you. But again, opening up to like, hey, maybe you are really, really into US content. How can we create some space for that global experience to have a little bit of room for you to discover new things? And then that was kind of like, once that got done, then we started doing some customization on top of that, right? It's like there might be some features that are necessary for how users grow, right? Or there might be like login ways that are very popular in one country, not popular on another. So you start doing some growth optimizations. The interesting thing, though, is what I learned going through internationalizing a number of products, not just at Pinterest, but other products as well, is the things that truly pay off tend to be true across the board, right? It's like building products ultimately appeals to human needs. So your core needs to lead with the human need first, and then you can customize around it. But generally, you don't need to change that deep core of the product. And you can look at very iconic products like the search engine box, like that works across cultures. Yeah, the content is different, right? So what you see after that is different. Or the need for creativity and design, right? You see a product like Canva that resonates with audiences in Brazil, in Spain, in Australia. The content changes, like the kind of design that people want to make, like the categories that might shift. But that need for expressing creativity is a deeply human need. And so back to your question about how does that translate to AI, I think that deep need of, or like that possibility that AI brings of processing information or giving you what feels like superpowers, helping you achieve things, is something that's very globally appealing. Now, the way that it's done it has a lot of local nuance, right? It's like something that's really cool is that most AI systems, like LLMs, work out of the box in any language because they know how to speak languages, which
So
is
it
where
speeds it up a lot. Yeah.
months and years
Yeah.
of Pinterest making sure that our search and discovery systems work in other languages. You can do that in a matter of weeks
Yeah,
today.
it's crazy because I remember when Discord went through its localization process, we had to take every string of every part of copy in the product, right? And then that
Oof.
had to be translated into so many different languages. I remember seeing
Yeah.
these spreadsheets of just like line after line of translations. Like all that time that we probably spent on that or the team spent on that could be cut by way more than half at this point in time.
Yeah, and I think there's also I mean, one thing that's interesting is like with internationalization, you still want to have that local expertise of a human, right? It's like
Yeah.
you can get 80% there with
Yeah.
machine, but you still want that um, very opinionated
Yeah.
local perspective. Whereas I think maybe 10 years ago, a lot of decisions were made like, oh, we don't want to go into every language because it's expensive, it's time consuming. Right now, that barrier of entry has been removed quite a bit. So you could technically, like, you can use any chat-based product in any language
Yeah.
from the moment that you set it up. It's it's not going to be optimized, it's going to be crappy. It's like it's not going to be a great experience, but it's accessible. And I think
Yep.
sometimes we forget about the importance of being able to access information or access tools, especially when your culture or your language tends to be a little bit underserved just because there's not a lot of speakers in the language. So I think the fact that it's way easier now is really cool. So it's going to be interesting to see what's the tension between what are globalized products coming from generally the US versus what are homegrown products, right? Because we might start seeing a lot more development that is happening in other countries, which is
Yeah.
that it's been actually pretty cool to follow in Europe. Like Europe has become a big hub for AI with companies that are growing and are innovating in a way that had been a little bit quiet in the past few years.
So, Sylvia, you wrote that expert networks are becoming the new infrastructure layer. For AI founders, should they be building social products or expert networks? And do you have an example of what they should be going after?
Yeah, great question. So I think over the past 10 years, we've seen a big degradation of social experiences. Before, social used to be a lot about connecting with your people, right? It might be your friends, your family, which is kind of how Facebook started. Then you had Twitter was a lot about connecting with your interests. You have Reddit connecting around the topic. You had like prior to that, you had groups and so on. And it's gotten so like it's now today is who is the loudest voice wins. And it's
Yeah.
becoming very polarizing,
Hmm.
you even see how the algorithms work. It doesn't necessarily prioritize agreement, it prioritizes controversy to a certain extent in certain platforms, which looks like discussion is great and differing opinions are great, but when clickbait wins, it degrades the whole experience, right? And so right now, expertise is not really favored in these platforms. It's more about who is driving the most engagement. And so there's this interesting shift with a couple of products that are coming up now, where expertise is the most important thing, and the social network is built around that expertise, and it's highly curated, and it's all around that knowledge and the content, the high quality content that you put
Hmm.
out.
Yeah.
There's Super Me, Casey Winters, who used to be at Pinterest and Ludo, are the founders. And everything is around that professional social network, but based on expertise and the ability to ask questions of experts. I think another interesting. They're not necessarily a native, but another new social network that is really based on that expertise is Substack. Substack has been around for a number of years, but for the past couple of years, everyone has decided to do that knowledge transfer from LinkedIn to Substack because Substack kind of rewards that more lengthy, very, yeah, it's like expertise-based,
Yeah,
knowledge-based type of content. Whereas LinkedIn, once again, it's a little bit more about the engagement. Can you say something that's polarizing enough in either direction so that people
literally.
love it or want to argue about it and give you that engagement? And so I think it's expected to happen when platforms are so saturated. It's really, really hard to break through. And the way that these platforms differentiate is looking at that engagement. And the reality is that clickbait works for a reason, right? It's like humans are more likely to engage if it's polarizing, if it's clickbaity. But I think it's important to have these spaces where you can go for trusted information because the reality is that right now, when in an online first world, is a little bit hard to know who you can trust.
Hmm.
And when you look at kids that are, I have two teens and they have to do schoolwork and so on. And it's amazing the hoops and loops that they have to go through to be able to cite with confidence. Uh,
Mm,
so we've diluted that trustworthiness of content online. And I think there's that renaissance of people trying to create space for that. There's this
yeah.
other company by an ex-Pinterest founder, Rune. They are trying to do that in the medical field.
Mm.
But again, it's like there's so much medical content. How do you trust it? How do you know that you can, like beyond the academic papers, how do you know that the content that you find online is something that you can trust?
I think we're going to see a rise of so many of these types of platforms, especially when it just even comes to generated content alone, really being able to like, can you trust what your eyes are seeing? And then like to your point too, Sylvia, I do agree. I think we're going to see this swing towards like intellectualism because feelings have been kind of deemed as facts in our sort of world. And I think that makes sense as to why we've seen the rise of Substack. And I'm curious to see what other platforms are going to be focused on that sort of expert network framework. I think this is just the beginning of that.
I think the trade-off is going to be when you have expertise, your growth gets a little bit capped to a certain
Sure.
extent just because you are creating some contours around the kind of expertise that goes in and out of that network. But I think it's going to be an interesting thing to follow.
So, Sylvia, as we're getting pretty close to wrapping up here, something that caught my eye, and I have it like highlighted here on the show notes, that slow decisions kill momentum. I can relate to that. I lose my mind with moving too slow, right? I just have to constantly move, 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 and keep moving. And then in your report, you said study leadership and psychology. Well, it's around study leadership and psychology. So how do you balance speed with thoughtfulness, especially with AI just constantly moving and buzzing?
That's a great question. It's a tough balance. I think it's about being intentional, about being having speed, right? And moving with urgency and momentum. And I think I would say more so moving with momentum rather than urgency. I think urgency is sometimes it can become cheap if
It's
you
kind of
Mm,
off-putting too, I
yeah,
think.
yeah, it's
Yeah.
like that sense of like, oh, everything needs to be done yesterday. It's like,
Yeah.
why, right? I like moving with momentum. I like moving quickly,
Hmm.
but I think it's about having clear goals. Like, where are you moving toward? Otherwise, it becomes a little bit of unintentional movement or
Hmm.
unintentional. Um, I don't know. It's like you're expending too much energy without knowing into what,
yeah.
which leads to burnout, actually. And I think that is something that for anyone that has been in a corporate environment for the past 2 years, there has been moments of that, like AI is coming, like we all need to pivot, we all need to change. We don't know how, but just like
Yeah.
move, go, go, go.
Yeah.
And something that I reflect on and I wonder is there have been many cycles spent on just trying to figure out the right way to bring AI into certain problem spaces at companies. And I wonder if in some cases it would have been more productive to take a step back and move with more conviction. So set goals, move with conviction, and then move fast. So I think it's in the next year, next decade, the ability to move with that conviction, but with the flexibility of learning and pivoting as needed,
Mm.
and just having that steady momentum of like the new base pace has increased, and we just need to run a little bit faster, but in a consistent manner. Otherwise, I think there's that big risk of just chasing the shiny thing and
Yeah, doing for the sake of doing. And I think urgency comes from a place of fear, where I think momentum feels like it comes from a place of intention, being strategic, right? Having that clarity. At least I resonate with that as someone who's like, check the stuff off the to-do list when it's like, Mallory, but why are you checking the stuff off the to-do list? Does it make sense, right? Like for me, I'm like, just checking the box feels good, but it's not about that, right?
exactly. And it's like, is that even the right thing to be doing? And I
Exactly.
Mhm.
today we have better tools to have that discernment and be able to focus on the things that truly matter and having the clarity to call out the things that we need to stop doing. Because the reality is that today we have a lot more tools that make handling a lot of things on your to-do list
Totally.
trivial.
Yeah. And we have
Mm.
agents and stuff now that could even do this for if you were smart enough to, right, technically set all up.
And
So
I think that's a great example of maybe rather than moving so fast and trying to do it all is about taking a step back, learning how to use agents, and then slashing 50% of your to-do list every week.
for
Mhm.
real. Yeah,
Yep.
A system that's doing that on your behalf.
absolutely.
Well, as we wrap up here, Silvia, we thank you for your time. Can we, let's see, how do I ask this? Very top line, ask what's coming next?
Yeah.
So as mentioned, I have been working on this new startup for the past, I think it's 5 months now, which is very exciting.
Yes.
We're getting ready to share a little bit more with the world in, I think it's like 2 months, a little bit less perhaps, depending on how we're feeling.
Cool.
So yeah, we're excited to with AI as the core, tap into this big shift that we're seeing in how
Hmm.
people work and what can support them at work. So that's the space that we're focusing on, but more to come in the coming weeks.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Is there going to be a launch party, and is there going to be karaoke at that party?
I think karaoke needs to happen, and Mallory will be invited. She'll be the MC. But there will be a number of launch moments happening, and also we're hoping to start an events series in San Francisco. So
Cool.
Let's go. I can't
Okay.
wait. I can't wait to be a part of that, to support that, to hopefully help. And Sylvia, where can the people find you? Where can our listeners find you?
So I am on Substack, silviaoviedo.substack.com, and I'm also on LinkedIn. Those are the two platforms where where I spend most of my time. I'm in every platform. You can find me there. It's just that I tend to post primarily on Substack and LinkedIn.
Cool.
Perfect.
Cool.
Perfect. Thank you so much for being here. And I feel like I learned a lot this morning. I know our listeners have as well. And hopefully we can have you back on when there's more to share about what you're building. But thank you so much for your time.
Thank you,
Thank you
Sylvia.
so much. Appreciate you having me.
Peace.
Hey guys, Connor here with Builders Growth Lab. If you're looking for a way to stay up to date on the latest news, trends, topics in AI and marketing, look no further. Visit us at buildersgrowthlab.ai and sign up for our newsletter today. In it, you'll find quick takeaways from our latest show, as well as simple tips on how to market your app. That's buildersgrowthlab.ai. Sign up today.
Okay, what a conversation we just had with Silvia. I felt like, I mean, I always am learning things from every founder we have on here, but she is just, I feel like every time I speak to her, I'm experiencing a master class of some sort.
Yeah, she's awesome. She's great. She is clearly very smart, like very, very smart. Knows her stuff. And,
Not that like all the other founders we haven't on here are not smart, but she's very brilliant, and there's a reason why she's had all the experiences that she's had, and it's because she's an expert in what she does. So, yeah, yeah. And I'm really excited to see what she launches here in the next few months. I mean, I kind of know because I've already tested it out a little bit, but it seems like they're kind of, I did last month very briefly, but it seems like they're kind of already, switching gears or what have you before launch. So curious to see what that will look like. And I really want to do a lot of events with her this year. So
if she's steering the ship, that's going to be one badass product.
Yeah.
No question. Cool
so
stuff.
Yeah. Speaking of which, I was like, do you know what's next?
What's that?
Poop in my pants. Poopy pants.
Poopy pants,
okay.
Right.
So for those of you listening, you're like, what? Oh, so we have just started this new segment a few weeks ago. I mean, it was right before the break, right?
I think it was.
Pretty new.
It was before you were like dying.
It was before I almost died from the norovirus and Vecna took over my body. But we have this new segment called Poopy Pants that we just kind of like explain things that are just really frustrating and gives us poop in our pants, essentially. So, which I already have one.
Oh, you do?
I do. I only have one for this week, though, believe it or not. So, should I go first?
Yeah.
Okay. All right,
what
guys.
puts poop in your pants?
The thing that put a massive poop in my pants last week, my God, people are listening. They're gonna be like, oh my God, this is so gross. So this is what I wrote, okay, in all caps in my notes app, okay? It says, fake AI videos, this shit needs to be labeled. So the context is that my mother-in-law sent me a video last week to both my husband and I of these dogs that were jumping on owners to see what people are going to adopt these like specific dogs. And it was clearly AI, like the way that the dog jumped, the people weren't real.
The audio.
So she sent it to me and she's just like, oh my gosh, this is so funny. But she was like questioning whether or not it was real. And then, so I was like thankful for that. But then I kind of dove in and was like, this isn't real. She was like, oh, I figured, how do you know? And then she asked me like, how did you even know that it wasn't real? And I was like giving her examples of what I saw. And I just was like, oh my God, like this is happening on such a scale that we just don't know about. Like the fact that older folks and definitely a lot of people don't have media literacy. And then on top of that, they don't have AI media literacy is just causing mass confusion. And so, I've seen TikTok start doing this, but like we really need to be labeling this content. Like if it is AI generated, how can we let people know like, hey, like, and that's okay that you're watching something AI generated. It's just like, hey, this is AI generated. So look, that will come with regulation and what have you. But like, I just am seeing it in my daily life and it's becoming really frustrating. I'm worried. Like, I'm just worried that people are going to get duped by fake content. I'm worried about the rise of romance scams. Like, if you know anything about romance scams, like
romance scams,
they're so prevalent on the internet. I know I have some friends who family members have went through romance scams, but it's essentially like you getting catfished to the extreme where you're sending money to your supposed partner, boyfriend, whomever. Like, so it's like catfishing kind of on a next level because you're building a relationship with the said person so you can scam them. So they're called romance scams. But with the rise of all of these like generative AI platforms, like you can just be anything. You could change your voice. You could show up on video in a certain way. And so I'm going on a tangent, but I guess what I'm trying to say is just I'm concerned that we're not labeling content. I've seen it a little bit, so it definitely exists, but I think we need to be more aggressive about it. Just so that when people are watching this content, they know what's real and what's not.
I think it should be like sponsored content, like paid editorial in magazines or like posts about credit cards and, this advertiser may get a kickback, like that kind of thing. Yeah. So you've seen it labeled. How is it labeled?
I think on TikTok, once in a blue moon, it's just like there's a little tag at the bottom and it says AI generated, AI dash generated.
Okay.
I don't think I've seen it much on YouTube. I don't do shorts. And I definitely don't see it on Reddit, even though some folks in the comments, if I'm reading a post, like, I think this post was AI generated, right?
Yeah.
Right. Like, besides that, there's no way to really know, which,
Yeah.
so I think it's really only TikTok I've seen so far
I've
that
never
has
seen it
had
labeled.
some of the labels, but
Okay.
I don't think they label most of it. I think it's like very select amount of content. And I don't know how they process that or how they know.
I wonder
Or why some get tags and some others don't.
like,
Don't
did that
know.
creator just have like a much bigger audience that was putting out that video?
Yeah, my guess
Maybe,
is
yeah.
perhaps, but I don't know for sure. I don't know how they go about doing that. But yeah, that's my poopy pants. Like,
Yeah.
I just feel like we need to solve for this. So, and I don't feel like it's actually that big of a, like, I don't think it's that hard to solve for. I think it's a matter of whether or not these platforms want to solve for it.
So what gives me poopy pants, I still have this, it's not really AI related, excuse me, but I can relate it to using AI, just apps and general tech. It's when things are very hard to use, I freak out and just lose my mind because then I have to put in like extra effort in order to do something. My girlfriend and I, we went to a restaurant downtown and of course, we sat in a booth there. So we walked by. If you're listening to this, just pull over and pull out YouTube. The door is here. We had to walk by the bar. So we walk by the bar on the left-hand side. We keep going to the wall of the restaurant. We got a booth. So we're sitting in the booth. And I was like, all right, let's grab some wings. She's like, yeah, okay. We got some wings, and the server said, oh, sorry, those wings are only if you're sitting at the bar. And I said, I didn't say anything at first. And he's like, yes, it's just this thing where, 'cause for context, when we were walking by the bar, I saw somebody eating wings, and I was like, yeah, I want some wings. And we sat down. I'm that person that doesn't really look at the menu. I'm just like, hey, what's good? Or maybe I'll like look around. Yeah, it's like steak
That's crazy to
or
me.
something.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Or I'll just ask the server, like, hey, like,
No,
what's
I
good
love
tonight?
that. I actually love that. I'm just like, oh my gosh. Like, sometimes it depends on the restaurant, but like, many times I'm the kind of crazy person that looks at the menu before.
Oh, really? Okay. No, I get that. But at the same time, I'm also the person that I don't like that many choices on a freaking menu.
Yeah.
So anyway, we're sitting down, and my girlfriend she knows how to, read me now. And so he's like, yeah, let me just go see if I can just bring the wings over here as opposed to just sitting at the bar. And I was like, yeah, thank you. And so he leaves, and my girlfriend just looks at me, and she doesn't say anything, but she's kind of has like this wry smile. And it's like, is that like, am I being an asshole right now? Can I just get some wings? And then I told her that it's like the movie 40-Year-Old Virgin, where the guy's holding up the boots, and he's got like the fish in the boots and at the eBay store.
Oh my
he's
God.
like, yeah, I have the cash, but you're just making this really difficult. Can I just buy these here?
Yeah.
And she's like, no, you have to go home on eBay, and you have to, like, that's what
Yeah.
literally was going
Yeah,
through
it was
my
like
brain.
that.
So yes, for all those wondering, I did get my wings, and I had poopy pants for about 10 minutes there. I was just like, can we just not, like, what's the big
This
deal?
is like an actual poopy pants.
Yes, I had poopy pants for like 10 minutes because I just like, can I just get some wings? Is it that big of a deal? Like, I'm sitting at a booth. What does it matter?
No, that's so dumb. It's
So
so dumb.
every once in a while when I'm, because I like to sign up to like just different apps just to see their onboarding and, all of that, just see how they do things. And when it's so clunky, when it's hard to use, when you have to click like 10 different things, I always think of, can you just can I just have some wings here? I'm sitting in a booth. Like, what's the big deal?
Yeah. Like,
So,
why does this have to be so difficult?
Yeah.
Like, just, yeah.
can you just sell me the boots? Like, I just want the boots.
Yeah.
So that gave me poopy pants.
Yeah, like, why do you got to make it hard, sort of thing?
Exactly.
And that leads us back to friction in products
Yes.
and
Oh
onboarding.
my
Does it not?
I'm
kind of being
lose my
sarcastic a
mind.
little bit, but like, yeah,
Yes, you are
Oh my
correct.
God. That's so funny. That's so funny. Well, I'm glad you got the wings. Otherwise,
the poop out of my pants. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. I also
pretty
had
good,
some
too.
wings this weekend. So
What do you?
Especially with sports, you know what I mean? You
Yeah,
got to eat the wings. You got to
I
eat the wings.
do. I do
I
Thai
had a
hot chili.
salad with wings like a crazy person.
Oh,
So,
like on purpose too. Wow. Okay. Like
yeah.
buffalo wings or
Yeah,
like the
yeah, yeah.
flavor. Uh,
No. Buffalo wings,
you
but
do
then I had
buffalo.
like my husband like as a normal person had pizza. Like that's what normal and then I'm like,
Yeah,
well, I can't really eat a lot of dairy, so I'm like I'm gonna eat the salad with my wings like a crazy person. So
sure. Just some
I know
rabbit
that's
food.
crazy. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
exactly.
I gotcha. Okay.
Exactly. All right. Well, I wonder what Connor's poopy pants are this week. I guess we'll find out next week. He'll have so many poopy pants examples to share because
Oh,
he
he's at the
hasn't been on the
Toronto.
pod this week.
Yeah,
So
he's at what's the airport in Toronto? Pearson.
I have no idea.
I've heard that is the worst airport like in North America. I've heard it's
Oh,
like really bad. Yeah.
okay. So you might get poopy pants
Yeah,
from the
knowing that dude,
airport.
he's got a short wick too, so he'll so he'll probably freak out at something.
That's hilarious. That's hilarious. All right. All right. Okay. So with that being said, shall we get into all of the exciting things that have happened in AI over the last week?
Yeah, we I guess we can just so what's by the way, for context, we're looking at our show notes. We have like 10 different things and we just pick like a couple.
Mm-hmm.
Which stood out to me, first thing is CES, and I miss going to CES every year. I admit, like CES was so much fun, and because we were media at the old magazine I worked
Hmm.
at, we got invited to all the private parties, and we go to like Monster headphones and like I think they had Foo Fighters. Was it Monster headphones
Oh
had
my
Foo Fighters one
gosh.
year? They are Foo Fighters is still like to this day like a great band. Dave Grohl is savage. That dude's a boss. But anyway, CES. I miss going to that. I wanted to see the AI footprint there,
Yeah.
um,
Yeah.
and I think I'm reading is the physical AI, which is kind of
I see
surprising.
that.
I was kind of surprising to me. I wouldn't think that somebody would want to wear another wearable. Um, but
Yeah,
I
but I
guess
guess I'm
I'll
not
keep an eye on it.
surprised.
Automotive AI agent, Boston Dynamics, robotics integration, new founders building wrappers. What is the shift from generative AI to
I mean, it's all
agentic?
about robotics, right? I think like, and it's interesting because if you look at the world of Silicon Valley,
Mm,
in general, it's very software heavy. Like you're not seeing a ton of folks here build in the hardware space. And so, um, I know China specifically is like, I think we're
yeah,
heavy on the software side,
yeah.
especially in AI. And then I think they're building, a lot of hardware and
Like
robotics.
Shenzhen is
And
huge.
so I'm
Yeah,
thinking like NVIDIA's like, well, there's an opportunity for us to be, building physical AI here, especially as China is focused on that and ramps that up. So I wonder if it's a response to that. I don't know. I'm totally speculating, but
mm,
it's like I get your point, Charlie, but at the same time, we're not seeing any sort of physical hardware take off in the AI space in general. And to Sylvia's point that we learned today, we're still at the beginning, especially for consumers to
mm.
be using this technology. And so I could see hardware being like the bridge to making that happen if someone, creates something really cool. I did pre-order a founder building AI jewelry at the end of last year, and I forgot what the name is, but I just thought it was so cool to just support a founder building in that space.
That's cool.
But I forgot what exactly it does. But I guess I'm not surprised to see this. But so if you look at what generative physical AI looks like for NVIDIA, they talk a lot about autonomous mobile robots in warehouses. They talk about manipulators or robot arms that can adjust grasping their strength and position based on the pose of the objects or the conveyor belt.
Mm,
It's talking about surgical robots that can do intricate tasks such as threading needles and performing stitches. And then the last one or the two, I should say, are it's one, humanoid robots that have fine motor skills and can perceive, understand, and reason with the physical world no matter what task is given. So, like, those seem to be the like physical AI areas that NVIDIA is investing in. And so I would
man.
have been really cool to see that in person at CES, to
Yeah.
your point. Yeah.
So next year we're doing CES. We are figuring out a way to get to CES.
We can do that. We
If
can,
there's a
yeah, I
will,
feel
there's a
like
way.
we
Yeah.
can definitely do that. I haven't been since I worked in at a hardware company called SteelSeries. I remember
Yeah.
spending a whole week in Vegas, and I was like, a
They do,
week in
like,
Vegas makes me
it's
want to die.
yeah,
It's
it's brutal.
so long. I'm
Yeah.
like, it was
I have
like 8 or 9. It was terrible.
I have a friend. I'll tell you offline, but I have a friend that got swooped up by two pros at I think they're at Hard Rock, and he like drove them off to the desert.
Oh
Yeah,
my God.
two of
That
them.
makes
Yeah,
me never want to go see.
yeah, and he's kind of naive, so he's just
Oh
in the back seat, like, oh, like
no.
I wonder where we're going. No, well, they almost like stole his kidneys, and yeah, yeah, he got out of it.
Oh, is he okay? Okay, good,
Yeah,
good.
yeah,
I would have been like, I'm
he got
jumping out
out
of the
of
car. I'm running.
it.
I
Yeah,
don't know
no,
where I'm running, but I'm getting the fuck out.
yeah, he's. Oh, I'll tell you
Tell me
offline. Yeah.
offline.
Okay. By the way, Connor just slacked us. He said, "Yo, how's the pod today? Tell the listeners I say what up." And then he says, "You know what gives me poopy
Okay.
pants? TSA."
All right. Perfect timing.
Oh man,
TSA.
I wonder if he has pre-check.
Who doesn't get poopy pants from TSA? Like,
Yeah.
truly.
You know what's weird?
You know what I mean?
I love airports. TSA doesn't really bother
You're
me,
weird.
but
You're so
I like I've texted like friends about. I don't know. I just love airports.
You're so funny.
I don't know. It's just
Wait,
weird.
have you been to SFO?
Yeah.
Okay, come back and visit soon because we
But
just got listed as like one of the best airports in the country
oh really?
last year.
I think Vancouver is really nice.
We've done a lot of work since I've moved here. Like even in the last 10 years, I remember coming to SFO and I'm like, this place sucks. And now it's completely renovated and transformed. So
Nice. I don't like LAX. It's
no, LAX sucks.
yeah.
I just flew out of there to go to Cancun over the
Okay.
break, and both there and back had 3-hour delays.
Woo!
So
Yeah.
yeah,
SF has better lounges too, I think.
they do. They
Uh,
do.
Perfect
But
timing.
perfect
Okay.
timing. I was like, you're
Yes.
just talking about poopy pants. So I mean, we're on to
okay.
the next segment now, but it's not too late. You know what I mean? So TSA people. That's what's giving everyone poopy pants. That's what's giving Connor poopy pants. So
You had sent something earlier in the week. It was something health related, wasn't it?
yeah. So I stumbled across this article that announced OpenAI is going to launch ChatGPT Health, encouraging users to connect their medical records, but it's not going to be intended for diagnosis or treatment. And I think that is kind of two things. One, I'm like interesting, kind of excited. Like in between appointments when I go to my doctor or my dermatologist or what
Mhm.
have you, and I want to share any relevant information just to kind of like have ChatGPT either keep me accountable or help me sort of work through some of the things I'm working on. Great, but then there's another part of me that's like, I'm worried that ChatGPT is going to have all this like precious data about me,
Yeah.
right? Like my health, my sort of how I like just my internal world, and like
How
so I
you
use it for
operate.
journaling, or I use it
Yeah.
for goal setting, I use it for to better understand myself, I use it for work, like with right. So Silvia was just talking about this, the sort of the blend that we're seeing both between personal and professional, but I'm just worried about it having all this data on me. But at the same time, I think it could be an amazing tool that can really help me in between, going to my doctor or going to my therapist or whatever it may be. So that I am excited for. But it's like, why would it need my health records well, I mean, I know it's not going to diagnose me or treat me because it's not a doctor, but I feel like people are going to use it incorrectly, just like the way people are Googling my symptoms on WebMD and then like, oh, wow, I have this disease, when it's like, no, you don't. You think you have this disease, but you probably don't. Has a doctor told you that? But I'm worried though that people are going to like bypass, professionals with just, a little bit of, I don't know where I'm going with this, but yeah, that's my concern. But I'm also at the same time, I think it's really interesting. So
I'm not going to upload anything.
you're like, no.
I'm just not that guy that does that. I don't know. I think they solved it, but at one point ChatGPT was like indexing chats, which is kind of fucked. Actually,
I know.
that's really fucked.
I know.
I take that
you
back.
can share a whole conversational thread
Yeah,
and make it public online, which and then it can be indexed, right?
Yeah.
And that to me is crazy.
That's fucked.
Even if you
Yeah.
are willing to share it,
Yeah.
then I get worried because I'm like, well, what else is gonna
Like
just be shared or
finance data.
accidentally?
Yeah, like your
Insane.
everything
It's insane.
personal, your
Yeah.
maybe your go-to-market strategy on your company. But like, yeah, I think that's
So it's interesting
it's
because if
scary
you
to me.
read this, I think it's going to be a product that's supposed to go along with ChatGPT, and they're branding it ChatGPT Health. Um, so they're describing it as a more secure and personalized environment with a separate chat history and memory feature from the rest of ChatGPT. And my guess is that they're doing that to kind of go after the concerns that you and I just
Yeah.
listed out.
Like, is
So
there
they're
something
not.
HIPAA related?
That's a great question.
I don't know.
I don't see any of that here in the announcement.
I don't like it. Obviously, well, to me, ChatGPT is becoming an operating system. They got the App Store. They have ChatGPT or GPT Health. They got all of that. Yeah, it's just a matter of time before they just they just take over.
Yeah, yeah, and
Interesting.
that
Good timing, by the way. I mean, start of the year.
good timing. And then wait, to answer your question, when asked if ChatGPT Health is compliant with the health insurance portability and HIPAA, Gross said that in the case of consumer products, HIPAA does not apply in the setting. It applies towards clinical or professional healthcare settings. So
Okay.
that was
Like
their
telehealth
response. Yeah,
okay.
exactly.
Gotcha.
And that's probably why they have a whole different layer, because they're going to have, end-to-end encryption and be able to really sort of protect your sensitive data there, which is, I guess, do you trust that? All these other things are the questions to ask, but it seems like they're trying to kind of make it a part of ChatGPT, but something separate so that you're not concerned about your data being shared and leaked.
Yeah, that's critical.
So we'll see.
Cool.
We'll see.
All right. Well, I thought it was a badass episode. Silvia, thanks again for coming on.
Yes, thank you. I think I will say from our conversation today, I learned a few things or thought about AI in a new way that I wasn't thinking about it before. Like shopping was a great example of
shopping. Yeah.
I never really thought about, definitely thought a lot about curation, but never like that like how that experience could change. So there's a lot of sort of things to kind of think about as we wrap up this episode with her. And but yeah, excited for next week. Excited to also have a recorded episode in Colorado when we get the chance to meet each other. So there's a lot more exciting things to come. And who are we having on next week, Charlie?
Next week we're having on, I was literally just pulling up the calendar, John Chaney. He's a returning guest. He was I think it was the second interview we ever had on here. Yeah, he's doing big things. I don't know. I probably shouldn't say he was working with a really big name, a very big name. I shouldn't say, so I'm not going to.
Well, let's have him say. We can have him, or if he wants to.
I probably sound like an idiot right now, but tune in next week. You'll know. He's a great dude. He's in Utah. They were just, I want to say he was on the panel at FailFest. I want to say it's called FailFest. Are you aware of that?
I've never heard of FailFest. No.
I want to say it was last weekend, but it's what it sounds like. It's founders getting together and like, hey, don't do this, don't do that kind of thing, which I think is a great idea. So yeah, it's in-person event. But yeah, he's doing big things. He has it is called, so I know what I'm talking about here, Gen AI API. Is that what it is? Yeah, he has AI leadership. So it's transform your company into an AI first organization. GenAIPI.org.
All right.
Yeah, he's a good dude. Cool guy. Apparently he's a pretty good mountain biker too. So cool.
We'll tune in next week when we will hopefully also have Connor back and a new guest, and then follow us along for our Colorado journeys as we meet in person. And until then, we'll see you then.
Peace.